Hello and welcome to Open Pakistan webinar series. The Open Pakistan webinar series is an initiative of Open Program from Pakistan. These programs are fully funded by the Regional English Language Office, RELO, at the US Embassy, Islamabad. These programs provide professional development opportunities to English language teachers and learners all across Pakistan. These programs include open global online courses, massive open online courses, webinar series, and then engaging our alumni into different productive activities. If you wish to stay updated about Relo Pakistan and its opportunities, you can visit www.facebook.com/Relo Pakistan. Evolution is the local implementing partner in Pakistan. If you wish to stay updated about Open Program for Pakistan, you can visit www.evolution.com.pk/open programs. Under the Open Pakistan webinar series, today we are broadcasting our webinar 6.6, and the topic for the webinar is Beyond Brainstorming, Coming Together Throughout the Writing Process. The presenter for our today's topic is Miss Reem Amin. Reem Amin is an Open Pakistan alumna who has completed her global online course in integrating critical thinking skills into English language classroom from the University of Oregon. She is currently teaching English as a first and second language to students in Islamabad. She has more than 23 years of experience of teaching English to students in Dubai and Islamabad. She is a CELTA trained and qualified teacher who has taught middle years program and international baccalaureate diploma program in language and literature in a reputed international baccalaureate school in Islamabad. She believes anyone can write when given the specific tool in being fully engaged in their own learning. In today's webinar, participants will enable to learn about multiple opportunities for students to practice a variety of skills in the writing process in a collaborative learning environment independent of the status of their drafts, to develop and revise ideas while critically analyzing them, and to practice other common features of academic writing. So without any delay, I would like to invite Ms. Reem Amin for presenting the webinar.
Everyone. Today's topic is Beyond Brainstorming, coming together throughout the writing process. My name is Reem, and I will be conducting today's session. What do you think about when you see or hear the word writing process? Take a minute to think about it. So our content contains activities that strengthen skills in the writing process. I'm going to walk you through 4 different kinds of activities which you can use and apply within your classroom, especially so you can have all the students at the same level. This can be used as a standalone lesson, and these are actual steps for creating a best writing process in class, especially when you have a double lesson. So writing process has these whole list of words. It could start from brainstorming, pre-writing the topic, write research questions, outline or map different kinds of topics or content plan for your writing process, begin writing, which is extremely an emotional step for students because they all say, we have ideas, but I don't know how to begin my sentence. I don't know how to start my sentence. So this is a great way to develop and revise ideas, thoughts and plans which have already been discussed within the classroom. It gets the students to organize and reorganize their tasks. It helps them to add and delete content like good sentences, add new words, new ideas, delete old ones, start doing their own, work and start seeing if their work or their grammar or the sentence structure spelling are correct or incorrect. It's a great way of using signal words. So students use varied sentence structures. Within the writing process, there's a lot of they create a lot of cohesion between the ideas, thoughts, and process. And then you need to consider the word choice. What good language or good vocabulary the students are using. At the end, this writing process helps students to cultivate a voice within their own writing. Now, Prolgree and Boyle refers scaffolding that breaks down a complex process into smaller steps. Furthermore, Paul Nation writes it and makes visible students control each part of their writing. Now, this is handy for us teachers to see what they're doing at different points in the writing process. But what happens when your students don't have a draft ready? So in the writing process, you brainstorm tasks. And when you give them a task or a homework, why do they come without a planned draft? That is when the teacher needs to have the whole class at the same level. So number one is to create multiple opportunities for students to practice a variety of skills within the writing process. It's a great way to have a collaborative environment independent of the status of their draft. It's another great way to develop, number one, develop and revise ideas. Number two, to organize those developed ideas and thoughts. And number three, it helps them to think critically about the work or the topic that has been given to them. Most of all, it helps them to practice common features of academic writing. Now, these are upcoming are multiple activities that will help strengthen in the writing process. They can be used again as standalone lessons or action steps for the writing process. Now, in these two main processes of writing, Ferris and Hedgehog say that it helps to not only help them to create a writing process, but later on, Flower and Hayes also say that it's a problem-solving or cognitive approach, especially when students have their ideas penned down in an activity. Furthermore, Elbow says that it's a freer and generative approach. It helps them to release their ideas. It helps them to be creative and to think on their own level without being dictated or told how to write. Now, in the first process, or the first activity that I want to share, you have these paragraph captions. Okay, it's a cooperative task. It's a great way to develop ideas, and it's a great way to revise written products. Now we're coming at the end of the academic year, so a lot of teachers are going through a lot of writing processes. They are doing a lot of practice tests with them right after each. So this is a great way or a great idea to develop or revise the task. Now, if you can see that this is an image, it's an image of Spain. It's very easy if you give them a factual piece of content. For example, it could range from e-readers, talking about simple topic like kite flying, about learning about cinnamon, learning about role play, learning about theater. So what is a topic sentence? The topic sentence is the first sentence in a paragraph. It actually introduces the whole topic of the paragraph that you're going to be studying. Now, what does this topic sentence do? It produces the main idea of the paragraph. How do I write one? So student asks themselves, how do I write one? So you summarize the main idea of the paragraph. So whatever paragraphs that you get, like I'm giving a factual piece on Spain. Kids love blogging. They love learning about different languages in different places, food, culture. And actually, the current education system also encourages students to have diversity in their academics. So this is a great way to teach them about different places, countries, about different cultures. So once the students have been able to summarize the paragraph, they are clear about what each paragraph is going to be about. For example, let's talk about the place, the name, the location, the setting of the location, where is it located, in which continent is it, what is the language being spoken, how many people speak that language, is it a global language? So the procedure is very simple. You have 4 captains or 4 leaders, and they get a topic sentence. Now, this is a great way where students actually learn to communicate with each other. In this task, the people who are not team captains or team leaders, they have a whole group under them. They can accept or reject the supporting sentence. They can see, no, I don't think this sentence fits under this topic sentence. Maybe it can be used for another paragraph, another topic. So it's a great way to get students to learn to negotiate their ideas and thoughts with the captains, especially on the topic sentences. Now, other students, what is the role of other students? They have supporting sentences with them because the captains have the topic sentence with them. So the task is the students can get rid of sentences by offering to captains what they feel that they have accepted. So the topic sentences, these are 4 leading topic sentences, and I've taken up this paragraph from a handbook, which is a downloadable PDF for international students. So I don't just stick to the textbook. You can use a variety of topics. You can use a variety of free PDFs or short stories, which are there available online. So I wanted to talk to them about Spain because we were actually doing history and we were learning about the different khalafas and different movements. So this is a great way to teach them about the country. So Spanish is one of the world's leading languages. Spanish is spoken by over 500 million people. Spanish is also widely used in North America. Spanish is a language which evolved from Latin. Now I've got these varied sentences, and these are sentences which are going to be given to the other students, all right? So they can read them, they can go through them. For example, it starts off, it is mainly spoken in Spain and Central and South America as a first or second language. So it goes back to the topic sentence that they have. Then it contains many words from Arabic due to historical Moorish presence in the Iberian Peninsula. This is a result of the growth of Spanish colonies in Central and South America from the 16th century, because we're talking about Spain as a global language. It is widely read in Spanish language. Newspapers and music is listened on radio stations that are common. Spanish speakers often refer to their language as Espanol as well as Castellano, which is the Spanish word Castilian. The Royal Spanish Academy is officially responsible for being the custodian of the Spanish language. Spanish belongs to the Indo-European languages, which include French, English, Russian, German, the Slovak, and the Scandinavian languages, as well as various languages in India. Now, I have actually left out sentences which are there for them, that they can see that the rest are not required. That's why I removed them. And these are the 4 sentences which actually fall best or best suited for the topic sentences which were given to the 4 team captains. This was not required. Where is it mostly spoken? Where does this language belong to? And how many words do they contain from Arabic? Now, this is again the sample sentences that you can actually share out on a flip chart, or you can make photocopies and share it with each captain or team each year, because they'll be sitting in groups, they'll be having their own workspace to work from. So the topic sentence: Spanish is one of the world's leading languages. You have a supporting sentence or information. It is spoken by over 500 million people, mainly in Spain and Central and South America, the first or second language. The reason is that this is a result of the growth of Spanish colonies in Central and South America from the 16th century. Extra information: these are 2 sentences. Spanish is widely used in North America. Spanish language newspapers and radio stations are common increasingly. So you see that the students can see that there are signal words being used over there. 5th one, extra information, is Spanish is a Romance language which evolved from Latin, but which also contains many words from Arabic due to the historical Moorish presence in the Iberian Peninsula. Now, why do I like this? Number 1, it's an interactive reading task. Number 2, it's a great writing sample also for students. It gets them to think critically and organize their tasks, in a chronological order. So what does this task actually help to do? It develops ideas, gets students to make decisions. They can revise their written tasks. They reorganize the work, and they can add and delete any of the sentences if they feel are not suitable to the topic sentence which is given to them. Now, in this same task, a variation can be brought about. So you can use as many parts of the writing process materials. That means you can have a short story, you can use it from literature. If there's a novel that the students are using, that can be used. So another simple way is just take a piece of paper, an A4 size, make small blank papers for them. Or what kids love these days, and they all have in their pencil cases a small post-it note, or a different colors of post-it notes. So with these small blank papers, every student get a small square. So it's like a collaborative document. Ideally, the students choose topics and the classmates can help them. They could be unit topics, topics based on by class, for example, any topic which is going on. They could talk about the coronavirus. A lot of students are doing research and studying on it. They can talk about right now, currently the month of Ramadan. They can talk about that. They can talk about the dawn of Islam, the life of Prophet Muhammad. So you can think about different topics the students want to talk about, collaborate, think, write, share with them. Students can circulate and write a topic sentence for the other 4 captains. So now the students are being made responsible, and it's the task is being actually moved from the captains to the students. So you see the differentiation which is being used in this task, and how the power of the captaincy is actually being moved to the team, and not to from the team leaders being moved to the team. So this is a small picture. Look at the students, they are not looking at their own topic sentence, but they have moved and are adding. So you see that there's a rotation on the table itself. They've moved, they're adding support sentence and reading through other topic sentences. And the students can give their point of view. So you see there are different pencils, different colored shade pages, so they can stick and add to that the whole topic sentence, which they feel work with it or it does not work with it. This is a small sample example that I've used because we are currently working online. So I've used Padlet, and the students have come up with different ideas, and I wanted them, we were doing a short story, and I wanted the kids to create their own character for a writing task because I wanted them to have a story with a theme for each one of them. The theme was actually a mystery story theme. I wanted them to work on that genre, and I wanted to ask them to work with a character who's an old man, maybe a homeless man. And these are the different ideas or samples of thoughts that the students actually came up with. Now, why do I like this? Because scraps of paper are thrown away, but they seem so daunting, but you can actually use them. It gives them a head start for an essay. Everyone now has a part of the draft, so they know what they're actually going to be working on because they're working collaboratively. Peer editing is now extremely possible for all of them, and it then gives them opportunity to make various decisions. Now, what is the fun part of this? People go around reading each other's words. It's like a small, tiny gallery walk, okay, of ideas, thoughts. They've penned down, brainstormed, and rewrote a lot of ideas. It's a great opportunity to digest bite-sized ideas. I think I like this idea. I want to use this for mine. And kids ask, I hope this idea is not plagiarized. Can I use her idea? I say, yes, you can use these ideas. There's no harm in using ideas, but obviously the sentences, thoughts, and the construction of sentences, adjectives, verbs, or signal words are the student's own choice. But these are great prompts for critical reading. Students are going around reading in different tasks, and most of all, they're collaborating with each other. Now, studies show that not all students work well with words. A lot of students love to doodle, do drawings, and they like to do comic strips, or they like to have presentations of the work. This is to encourage students who are more of kinesthetic learners than visual, and they have this visual representation of their own task. So it's an individual oral presentation. Maybe students don't want to work with a group. They want to work on their own selves, and it helps them to organize their own thoughts and ideas. So this is a small sample. It's like a 5-paragraph essay. Graphic organizers work wonders for students because then they have all their ideas, thoughts organized or planned. It's a great way to get the student to hook the reader, get them to think about the author and title. They want to have a background developed or information. This is great for literature. They can have a thesis sentence. What is the story all about? The number of characters. Again, if you give them a topic sentence or they get an idea or just a title, so they can plan their own thesis and what is the main thing that I want to talk about? What do I want to focus on? Okay. So what is the focus of the story going to be? What are the points that I want to add, and how am I going to even, add extra information to the points that I want to do? So this is a great way to adapt different essays. Now, what's the simple procedure about this? You prepare or choose a topic, any kind of topic. It could be a story sentence starter. It could be a theme story. It could be a small essay that you want the kids to write on. So the kids know that they have to write a thesis and they have 3 main points about it. You can have supporting ideas or details about it and encourage students who can make visuals. So change the idea. Instead of words, have the kids do diagrams or topics. What I like to do is sometimes I like to, because kids always have this pair of scissors and glue with them. They learn to share with each other also. Sharing is caring. So I get them a stack of magazines which I pick up from school library, which they are going to eventually throw away. So I said, okay, make a visual representation of the child. So they make a mood board. They make a style board. So in this way, there's a presenter. They must gesture to the visual each time they want a point which needs to be spoken. There are classmates who score the presenter. They check boxes for the thesis. Yes, is that written there? Is the image there? Is the image representation there? Is the picture there? And in this way, it points out to the presenter through these gestures are the visuals actually complete about the topic sentence that they are talking about. This is like a grade sheet. It's great when you have rubrics. When you have peer-to-peer assessment or you have peer-to-peer checking, kids are actually they enjoy that more because they have their best friends and their friends are told, no, you have to be very professional in this task. So they all get this small page where they have this visual presentation grade sheet and they mark out, okay, yes, the thesis for a sentence there. I can see point 1, 2, 3, maybe this is missing the body, this could be added. And then at the end, in the conclusion where the presenter shares the work, is the presenter summing up the whole essay in their visual presentation. So the students are also given marks at the end. Now, this is a small sample of visual presentation. What can it look like? They could be pictures, which are simplified key points, which make the process very clear. Why visually think? Because a lot of students have thoughts and ideas which are pop into their head when they're reading a task. It's so visually, vividly clear for them that they actually want to draw an image of that. It helps to create and share vision and engages all the students all together. Now, what's the best part of visual communication? It's kids love to work with pictures because now with the cell phone coming out, students are so they are so hooked to the flow of information that they don't actually wait for big videos. Similar in the same way, if kids are are drawing cartoons or comics, it's a great way of telling stories with pictures. It optimizes maximum learning in the classroom. So, and kids love to learn through pictures. So you can have a sequence of events, sequence of ideas, sequence of thoughts all together in the writing process. Now, why I like this? Because it serves as a great pre-writing task. It's more like a rough draft, but it's great for kinesthetic visual learners. Students need to organize, and you can use different genres for them. You can have mystery writing, fairy tale, you can have fractured fairy tales. So it gives them a repetition of the task, helps to support their ideas and develop more points. Now I have another task, which is a critical thinking discussion board. It's great. It's like your game board. It's like an empty game board where you have a start and your end. So the empty boxes in the middle, the students can actually start developing their ideas. It's a great way to have a speaking and listening activity. Sometimes you want to break away from a rough draft or a pre-writing or brainstorming idea of having them to make visuals or make write tasks or have a planned content. In this way, when every student actually has this tiny ideas placed in different boxes, they can interact ideas, they can interact at their own level, and they can practice different language structures. Now, what's the best part about doing this? So you have a compare and contrast discussion board. Each student, if it's a group of 5 or 6, each one of them is given this board, which is there, which helps to develop their linguistic skills. It helps to develop their grammatical forms. They're more aware of subject verb agreement. Their thinking is more focused when they know they have a task where they have to do comparison. And in the end, it's a great way to invite or repeat ideas where the students are actually paying attention to the whole presentation and they say, let's hear from. So maybe they want to pick up another one of the candidates or a team member or a team leader, and they want to say, okay, we want to know, we want more clarification on this thing, or let me get this straight. So you were saying this because you think this is writing. So it's a great way to exchange ideas, thoughts, and get them to visually talk about this. It makes them more confident in the class. It gets them to work as a group. It gets them to share ideas. They communicate, they discuss, they listen to each other's point of view. It makes them a patient, silent listener. Okay, so the procedure is very simple. Students place a marker on the box to make a comparison. The only rule for playing is that the marker must be moved to a new box to speak. So it's more like a board game. So you can have a dice and have the kids move it around. One of the options that you can mold this game or changes have the students also use because in terms of the sentences. I think this because, and then they have a supporting idea for their because. To aid a layer of critical thinking, for example, this is a small sample that I picked up when we were doing about wind turbines, or we were talking about different energies, how they can be trapped. So wind and solar are similar because they are both renewable sources of energy. Wind and solar are very different in terms of technology needed for each. So on the board itself, because in terms of, so you can have dash is unlike dash because, so just giving an example so the kids can use the word because. So if I pick up number 5, says a little different. Dash is almost as dash as because. So you can have a different comparison. So a set of comparisons, for example, that's set on the side, solar versus wind. So you can have list of topics to compare on the board. Each student discusses, or you have individual topics, or all students discuss and talk on the same topic. So it's a great way to introduce speaking and listening activity within the classroom. Now, again, why do I like this? It's extremely simplified board game. You can just pick up a flip chart. You can draw, you can just draw a circle. You can draw a snake shape, and you can just make the board there and then freehand. You can get a printout of an empty game board as a graphic organizer online. but it gives you a lot of choice. It doesn't restrict you. Students can talk at multiple levels, great way of introducing different thoughts, ideas, and practicing language skills. And it can be adapted for other skills. It's just not for speaking and listening, it's for reading, for thinking, for understanding. There's so many other skills that you're developing at the same time. You encourage the kids. You can also put a small math sum, something for them to solve, a small riddle. So it gets them to actually think out of the box and move away from the textbook sometimes. Students need to develop ideas, generate ideas initially or mid-essays, so it's a great way to collaborate. They think critically because they've been asked to question their friend. Why are they saying this? How is it possible? What new ideas could be used there? And this way of making them critically think, it makes this whole idea distinct from the rest of the other ideas. Now, signal words are highly important because not only for speaking, listening, but also for academic writing usage. This is a great way to improve the speaking game. Kids give a lot of opinions to what is the topic that is being discussed. Simple opinions and possible essay topics could be any. The topics are endless. It's how you want to introduce the topic to the classroom. The procedure is very simple. Students are paired off. They work in pairs. And later on, first they work in pairs, and then the same pairs discuss the ideas, and then the whole thing becomes a class group discussion. A student states an opinion, for example, cats are great pets. So you have a whole group where you can even do a bar graph and say how many of them are pet lovers, how many love dogs, how many love birds. So this is a great way to start a small discussion. Partner ad libs with their first signal. They can use words like furthermore, henceforth, however, because, in my opinion, in conclusion, to summarize. So this is a great way to use signal words. Continue to bottom of signal word and circle up to the top to continue saying that you can give them a list of words. They can start from the bottom, they can start from the top, and they can start using up, and then a lot of sentences are used. And you can also get a teacher assistant in the classroom, so whatever sentence being used as a signal word in case somebody forgets, so we have a teacher assistant who actually writes it on the whiteboard. So when you can't add anything, this instructor rings a bell, and that's when you lose. That's when you try again. So this is a great way to introduce students to their work, and a great way to get the whole class enjoying the class activity. So I'm going to do some set of examples that you can use. The smoking age should be raised to 21. Boston is a great city, so you can again motivate, change this for your own thinking. Wherever city you're from, that's a great city, and why. So these are examples. So signal word rounds, for example, in addition, and other words. So you can have other topics that kids can talk about. They can talk about capital punishment. They can talk about euthanasia. You can talk about poor distribution of wealth. You can talk about Brazil, its current situation. So there's so many other topics that a student can talk about. And English language is so varied that you can actually talk about anything and everything under the sun. All right, so you have words like, for example, in addition, in other words, however, for instance, also to put it in another way, on the other hand. So these are just very small, tiny examples, and you can start adding them. So when you start adding them, so it gets everybody, so it becomes a differentiated learning where everybody's on the same level, but you give an extension of the linking words, and then it makes the students, it increases their high level order of thinking. Why like this? Again, it serves as a rewriting or inspiration task midway in this essay. It's a great warm-up activity. Students need to practice signal words. They need to pay attention to relationship between sentences, and moreover, practice generating ideas. This might seem like a silly way to do it, but it's a great way to bring a great smile on the students' face during activities. Thank you so much for listening. These are the references which can actually be used within, and I want to thank Tostil 2021 and Danica myself, who actually gave me these great ideas, which I'm actually using within the classroom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Reem, for presenting such a wonderful webinar presentation. If you have comments, questions, and suggestions, please write to us on open@evolution.com.pk. Till then, happy teaching and learning.